Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Syspro USA hosted webinar titled ShipLink Shipping for Syspro. This is the fourth of 5 webinars that Syspro is hosting this quarter. We know your time is valuable, so we do thank you for making the time to attend this webinar. At this time, I'd like to introduce the participants. Today we just have Glenn Stewart, Product Manager for Agile Networks LA, and myself, Bruce Wilson, Product Marketing Manager for Syspro. We've got an excellent presentation for you today. This presentation will detail how Agile Networks' ShipLink product can add significant value to your ERP investment. There are some new capabilities that have been added recently that I'm sure you'll be interested in too, such as LTL support. So looking forward, and a little bit of housekeeping. We'll be recording this webinar and we'll make it available within the next few days, and we'll also allocate the last 15 minutes of the hour to take questions from you. So please do submit your questions through the questions tab, and we will try to answer all questions in the time allocated. So at this point in time, I will go ahead and hand over the presentation to Glenn Stewart, who will cover the main part of the presentation, and we'll circle back to questions. Go ahead, Glenn.
Hi, this is Glenn. I appreciate everybody for joining in on the webinar. And our agenda today is we're going to show you who we are, the advantages of the carrier-provided software, UPS WorldShip, FedEx Ship Manager, and such. The advantages of ShipLink, which is the integration software between those carrier-provided systems and Syspro. We're going to introduce our new product, which is ShipLink for LTL. We're going to provide a demo, and then we'll try and answer every one of your questions. So I'm with Agile Network, and we are a group of logistics experts. We've been doing shipping software and transportation management software exclusively for about 20 years. We've got clients all over the world, and we provide multi-carrier shipping solutions and shipping integration. We did our first implementation with Syspro back in 1993, and we introduced ShipLink in 2004, and we have over 100 successful ShipLink implementations. And these are just an example of some of the customers who use ShipLink today. So we've got 3 different products that we integrate with Syspro. One is called Agile Elite, and it's third-party shipping software, meaning that we develop that software outside of UPS and FedEx and the other carriers. And it's an enterprise shipping solution, and it resides on a centralized server, and it can manage your transportation across all your warehouses. It can even be configured to process shipments with no user interface, and it can integrate to order entry and so on. It's a very high-end transportation management solution. We also have been doing ClipperShip for over 20 years now, and we have had ClipperShip implementations with Syspro, although we haven't done one in quite some time because of the fact that the carrier-supplied software has improved so much that it's pretty much eliminated the market for ClipperShip. And then lastly, what we're going to show you today is ShipLink. And ShipLink is our middleware that enhances and automates the carrier-provided software and UPS WorldShip, FedEx Ship Manager, and the others. So what are the advantages of carrier-supplied software? Well, I would say it's likely that most of you use it today, whether it be UPS WorldShip or FedEx Ship Manager. As you know, it gives you free perpetual software and rate updates that are downloaded automatically, and free unlimited support. You'll find that these softwares are used by thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of users out there, and therefore they spend quite a large time testing the software, and then they have thousands of support personnel who are answering your calls throughout the day. Another major advantage of using the carrier-supplied software is that they'll be responsible for the scale and the printer, and so therefore you have one place to go to who will answer all your questions and will provide you the tech support you need. They also resolve all your billing issues, which is really nice, because when you're using a third-party shipping software, and we know this as a third-party shipping software developer, you'll find that you'll check your UPS or FedEx bill, and it'll be different than what you expected. And then you call up us, you call up the carrier, and then there's fingers pointing in multiple directions. In this case, when you're dealing directly with the carrier and their software, it takes any miscommunications out of the loop. You'll also find with the carrier-provided solutions that every service option is available. Quite a few third-party softwares out there only have part of the UPS and the FedEx offerings. Some of the things like UPS SurePost and FedEx SmartPost, which are UPS and FedEx making use of the postal service for the last mile, let's say, of shipment deliveries. That is very complicated shipping transaction, and quite a few of the shipping softwares out there that are third-party don't support that and don't support quite a few other features. Basically, UPS and FedEx, if there's a service that they provide or a feature they provide, it is in their software. Also, as compared to a third-party solution, the UPS WorldShip ships UPS, and therefore it's carrier-specific. The FedEx software ships FedEx. As I say over and over again, it is UPS ships UPS better than we can ship UPS, and FedEx ships FedEx better than we can ship FedEx as a third-party solution that has to have a common user interface for multiple carriers. This is just a diagram of what it looks like between FedEx and Syspro, UPS and Syspro, and LTL and Syspro. Basically, ShipLink sits as a piece of middleware in between Syspro and the carrier-provided shipping solutions. So what are the advantages of ShipLink? Well, it's been written exclusively for Syspro. So from day one when we wrote it, we looked at all the Syspro features and fields and data that we had worked with for over 10 years, and then wrote the product around that. It works with both delivery and dispatch notes in case you use dispatch notes. Most of you out there probably use delivery notes. We recognize custom form fields so that when you need to include data that doesn't fit in a regular Syspro field, we can just add a user-defined custom form field in Syspro, and then ShipLink will read that field for integration. It can accomplish multiple orders in the same shipment, and we'll be showing that in the demo. That means that if you have 4, 5, 10, 20 shipments, orders that are going in the same shipment, it can automatically consolidate those and ship those and update Syspro all the orders with the correct tracking and shipping information. For international shipments, it does read the line item information, including tariff codes if need be, and makes for a very fast, automated international processing of shipments. We definitely could match up the freight charge conditions and configurations to your business rules, things like free freight under condition X, or make it freight collect under condition Y. We put the tracking hyperlinks so that they can be accessed from sales order query, which means that when you are in a sales order query, you can do one click to track a shipment right from within Syspro to the carrier website. It can be installed in multiple worldwide locations. UPS WorldShip is installed all over the world, and so is FedEx Ship Manager. ShipLink can link those international installs back to Syspro, and it can account for all the currency differences and units of measure, and so on. One of the big advantages of using ShipLink is that it doesn't use up a Syspro seat or license, and shipping personnel, when they use ShipLink, they don't need to be in Syspro. Quite a few of you don't want to have Syspro on your shipping computer. You just want your shipping personnel to start a transaction, ship it, and then complete it without ever having to maintain an order in Syspro. A lot less support for your IT personnel when they don't have to support the warehouse being in Syspro itself. We found that most ShipLink implementations for UPS or FedEx take under 2 hours, and pretty much all of them take under 4 hours. It's very quick and simple, and that includes the configuration and the assignation of your business rules for things like your freight charge conditions. So today we're also going to show you ShipLink for LTL, and that's a real-time interface, and it provides flow of shipping data between Syspro and LTL, just like we're doing between Syspro and UPS and FedEx. What it's doing is we're maintaining a direct real-time connectivity between you and your LTL carriers, meaning there's no broker in between. To get the type of integration we're going to be showing you today, for those of you who are doing LTL shipping, LTL meaning less than truckload, basically pallet shipping. For those of you who are, to get the type of integration we're going to show you, usually you would have to deal with a freight broker, and that freight broker is usually making quite a significant markup over your LTL charges from your carrier in between them and you. So if it's a $200 shipment and they charge you $240, they've made $40 on it. It is a carrier-neutral solution, and most people who will be using this will save thousands of dollars per month with the advantage of being able to rate compare between LTL carriers and having your LTL carriers come in and compete for the business where they can actually look at the data and figure out where they can save you money based upon the data that's provided from the LTL processing solution. And it's not just LTL processing that's occurring, it's a true LTL management, and therefore you'll be able to do freight rating at order entry. You'll be able to manage all your LTL shipments, look at where they are, see bills of lading from the past, check proofs of delivery, and so on. Just like UPS and FedEx, we'll be providing the LTL tracking hyperlinks and sales order query for one-click tracking. And this is for shippers who are doing as little as 2 a day or 40 per month, all the way to ones who are doing thousands per month. Lastly, just want to mention that the beta program for ShipLink for LTL is starting tomorrow and is running, until the first week in April. And for those who use it, you'll have a 25% discount on the ShipLink module, along with a 25% discount in the subscription service, because the LTL is a monthly subscription service, and that 25% would last in perpetuity. And for the lower volume shippers, the subscriptions are going to start at under $100 a month, and that would be with the cost savings you get, actually a very efficient way to save money. So when we show the demo next, we're going to process shipments, and you'll see that it can perform a shipping transaction in a matter of a few seconds. You'll definitely be able to increase accuracy because the real-time integration, it eliminates the manual entry of shipping data into the UPS WorldShip or the FedEx Ship Manager, or if you're using an address database in one of those programs and the address is outdated, that old address, you can potentially ship things to an old address. We eliminate the possibility of duplicate shipments. So basically we're making it so that you should not be able to make mistakes in shipping when using ShipLink. It certainly should provide you the ability to automate your invoicing, because the moment a package ships or an order ships, the sales order will be updated with shipping charges and potentially could be advanced in the order status, so that if you wanted to run a batch of invoices at any time of the day, everything that just shipped can be invoiced right then and there without any customer support personnel or invoicing personnel editing the sales orders before performing the invoice generation. And there's definitely efficiency gains because it should decrease your customer service calls. We can include the email address from Syspro into the UPS and the FedEx transactions, and therefore UPS and FedEx can proactively email your clients that a shipment is on the way, which definitely reduces customer service calls. So we're going to perform the demonstration right now. Now I've got two sessions up and running right now. One where I'm a Syspro user who has sales order maintenance and sales order query up and running. And then the other, I'm a shipping person in the warehouse. So this is what a ShipLink transaction will look like. Basically, you'll have your carrier software, here in this case UPS WorldShip, and you will start the transaction in ShipLink. I'm just going to show you an order. So order number 10 here says it's going UPS ground, it's going to Chicago, it's in a status 4 right now. And I'm going to go ahead and ship that right here. Now I don't have a scale hooked up, so I'm just going to type the weight in manually. As you can see, it populated the WorldShip screen going to Chicago. Here's the order number, here's the PO number. Type the weight in and process. Labels print, and it updates Syspro. So effectively, order number, if the weight's on the scale, click process shipment, and that is your transaction. If we look at it back in Syspro, I'm just going to refresh this screen for order number 10, and you'll see that now order number 10 is in status 8. It's got a freight charge. It shipped 1 box going 5 pounds with this tracking number. If we want to go ahead and click the play button here to try and track the shipment, that will open up a browser and try and track it on the UPS website. Now, because we just shipped it and it didn't actually ship, we're just in demo mode, it didn't find this tracking number. Now, if you do ship an order multiple times, let's say you do a back order, release, and ship it a second time, when you click this play button, it'll pop up this screen that will say, ask you which shipment of the order you want it to track. And as many shipments against an order, not boxes, but shipments, they will have as many hyperlinks to track. Now, if we want to look at that order in sales order maintenance to take a look at the shipping charges, we can see here that the freight charge was $20.21, and because we had a $10 handling charge in there, it assigned the cost at $10.21. For many of you, because of the way you do your accounting, this will actually be 0, but we can show the difference between the freight charge and the freight cost within the shipment, including your UPS or FedEx discount. So I'm going to show you the next order right here, order number 8. And this is going UPS second day air. It's in status 4, also going to Chicago. And we set up a field here, a custom form field here called free freight. And we have that answered yes right now. Now I'm going to leave myself in the order number 8 here for a moment and try and ship it. So somebody is in the office in order 8 changing something. Maybe they're even changing the ship via. And when I try and ship order number 8, it will not let me because it tells me somebody's changing the order and somebody could be changing crucial shipping data. So the real-time interface stops that. I'm going to go ahead and end the order here as the person inside the office. And now I'm going to go back to order 8 here. And it will allow me to ship it. But this time I'm just going to say that there's 2 boxes. And as you can see, it shows second day air going to Chicago. Box number 1 I'll say is 12 pounds. And box number 2 is 34 pounds. I ship it, it prints the labels. When I go back into order number 8 here, it tells me 2 boxes shipped today, going second day air. It's got the tracking information. Now, as you can see, the freight charge line item here is 0, and that's because we said it's free freight. Now, to protect against orders shipping multiple times, let's say somebody printed out the packing list twice in the warehouse for whatever reason. If we try and ship order number 8 again, it will not allow us to ship it because it's been shipped already. Now right here, order number 12, we're going to show an international transaction. And as you can see, the line items are 2 different types of bicycles. It's going UPS standard, which is a Canadian shipment. Free freight is set to yes. I'm going to change that back to no here. And it should be going to Montreal, Quebec. So when we try and ship order number 12, it updates the world ship screen, and it brought in that it's going UPS standard to Canada, to Montreal, Quebec. And we'll see that the customs documentation here shows the bikes, the 2 different types of bikes brought in, including the tariff codes that were stored in Syspro, units, price, and it potentially can set it to go ahead and do NAFTA, and if SED is required, it can choose the SED here, which is a shipper's export declaration. There's quite a bit of complexity to international processing, and by using the UPS and the FedEx software with ShipLink, it takes most of that complexity away and leaves the shipper with very little to do to complete the international shipment. And it can recognize the international country codes from pretty much any country and ship it by UPS and FedEx to those countries. I'm just going to go ahead and reset this and not even worry about shipping this one. Now, if we look at Syspro, order number 14 here is going to New York. Actually, I'm going to show this to you in sales order query. So 14 is going to New York. 15 is going to New York again, to Rockwell Center, to the same address. So is 16, so is 17. Now this circumstance might exist because you got a whole bunch of stuff in from China, and all the back orders, all the partials that had shipped from that were missing that one part, all go out the same day to the same people who had ordered it over and over again. And there's quite a few other circumstances why you'd want to ship multiple orders to the same customer on the same day. So I'm going to say order 14, and then I'm going to say that we're shipping multiple orders with 14. I'm going to try 15, and it accepted it. Try 16, it accepted it. 17. Now I'll try order number 1. It won't accept it because it's not going to the same place. Or I'll try order number 8. It won't let me do it because it's been shipped already. And so what we do is we check all the conditions that would allow orders to ship together, and then either let them go together like we're seeing with 14 through 17 here, or reject them if they don't have the matching conditions that allow those orders to ship together. When I choose OK here, it's now going to allow me to ship all those orders together. So I go ahead and choose ship. As we can see in the UPS reference fields, 14, 15, 16, and 17 are all together. I'll say it's a 25-pound shipment going to Rockwell Center, New York. And when I process the shipment, and we go back into Syspro and look at these in sales order query, we'll see that order number 16 shipped with 14. 14 we consider the parent because that was the one entered in first. Order number 15 shipped with 14. They're all showing the tracking numbers. Order number 14 and order number 17. And they've all been updated to status 8 here. So it's very efficient in processing multiple orders together and updating all the orders in Syspro with the correct information. Now, if we go ahead and look at sales order maintenance for the freight charges, we'll see that the freight charge is $12.92 for order number 14. For order number 15, the freight charges are $8.48. And we'll see the same thing for 16 and 17. Now, why did it make the freight charges different for some of the orders? We have the ability in our setup in ShipLink, right over here, to spread the freight charges across all the orders based upon the order value. So order 14 was more valuable than 15, and therefore got a higher percentage of the total freight charges allocated to it. If we have this unchecked, all the freight charges will go on the first order, order 14, and 15, 16, and 17 would have 0 freight charges. Now, as you'll see here in this setup, we allow you to not have to update to status 8, or in the case of dispatch notes, status 7, upon the completion of a shipment. Or we can say, we can update it to status 8, but don't advance it under a certain condition. Here we're saying if the special instructions include partial. That's just an example. So we actually can make it so that all your transactions except certain types, we update to a status 8, and then there's a handful potentially that don't get updated to 8 because for whatever reason you want somebody to manually go through that before you run your batch of invoices. Or it can be unchecked completely and we'll leave them all on status 4. when we set up your ship vias, we match up these ship vias to whatever you have in Syspro. So right here, UPS ground. So you can just add a ship via in at any time. Let's say we were to put a new ship via in Syspro called XG. And we'll call that UPS ground. Once you do that in Syspro, all you need to do in ShipLink is just add it in, and then we will recognize it. And that's set to ground. There you go. So we match up to all your codes that exist today in Syspro. So you don't have to change anything on how you're doing order entry in your current Syspro to match up ShipLink. We match ShipLink up to the way you're using order entry today. And for the handful of you who are not using the ship via table and are typing in free-form text your shipping instructions, we also have that ability right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and process a shipment here that is freight collect. The last one I'll demo for UPS. So I'm going to say, yes, it's a freight collect. And I'm going to put an invalid UPS account number. UPS account numbers need to be 6 characters in length. I'm just going to change the invoice terms to there. So now when I ship order number 9, it should make it go freight collect. And even though the UPS account number was invalid, we passed it in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And UPS will then tell you that the mistake was made. So that will now allow it to ship. So even if the data is wrong at order entry, UPS World Ship or FedEx Ship Manager should catch it at the integration. And as we can see, when we ship this, it will have a 0 freight charge because of the fact it went on the customer's UPS account. Now, more people use UPS than FedEx, but I'm going to go ahead and show you a FedEx transaction here. So for those of you using FedEx, this will actually be a more familiar screen. This is FedEx Ship Manager software. While we do that, we'll look at order number 1 here. And order number 1 we have set up to go FedEx ground. It'll be a moment longer. There we go. The FedEx software is loaded. And if I type order number 1 in here, we'll see that it found the address. It shows FedEx ground. We put a weight in there, billing it to the sender, and now we ship it. And it's that simple to ship a FedEx, just like a UPS. If we now look at order number 1 again, we'll see that it brought the freight charge in, FedEx ground, 29 pounds, and the tracking information. I'm just going to go back into sales order query here. And now I'm just going to show a FedEx shipment that actually successfully tracks. This is one that I shipped earlier. And as you can see, got your delivery results here. Now what I'd like to do is show you ShipLink for LTL. Here is an order number 18. And as you can see here, the shipping instructions are for an LTL carrier, in this case, Roadrunner. Now this transaction is going to take a little longer than a UPS or a FedEx because there's more complexity to it. So I'm going to choose order number 18, and instead of going to the WorldShip software here, it tells me it's going LTL, which means it's going to bring up a web browser and bring up our LTL processing. And as we can see here, it's order number 18. It's shipping to New York. And what it did was it read weight from Syspro. Right up here, 604 pounds, it read it from Syspro. Many of you, actually most, will probably not have your weight stored in Syspro. So somebody would have to type the weight in here to get the freight quote. But for those of you who are storing your weight in Syspro, we tabulate it and bring it in based upon all the product weights in the sales order itself. And as you can see here, this demo shows quite a few carriers that it's rating between. There's a regional carrier, here's FedEx Freight, Old Dominion, Roadrunner, New England Motor Freight. And it provides you the amount of time it takes to get there, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, and the freight charge. And as you can see, there's a pretty big swing between the lowest and the highest charge. That's very common among LTL carriers. This will give you the opportunity to actually look at what is the least expensive carrier and then make your choice. In this case, I'm going to say I'm going to choose the least expensive carrier. And I'm going to say book it. And when I book it, it's going to give me this bill of lading number. Here's the freight charge, $331.48. And now what it's done is it's brought up a bill of lading here. And you can also choose to print shipping labels, and you can print this bill of lading. So it does a full automation of the bill of lading functionality, along with the rating and the shipping transaction. And if we go back into Syspro, we'll see there's a freight charge. 1 pallet shipped by this carrier. Here's your bill of lading number and the weight. And then we can track it by clicking the play button, but obviously this didn't really ship, so we can't track this one. But I do have an order number that shipped previously, going Roadrunner Freight. I'll go ahead and click the play button here. And as you can see, it goes to the Roadrunner website and tracks the shipment. So you've got real-time integration real-time tracking. I'm not going to go too deep into the LTL management features, but this gives the type of true freight management that companies that are only shipping very high volume can take advantage of. And we're now bringing this to give you the ability to, oops, clicked on the wrong button there. So this is your main screen for your freight management. And you can look at open loads, quoted loads, loads that have been booked, and right here there's 43 shipments that are in transit that have already been picked up and are on their way to the carriers. To the recipients. You can click on a tracking button. You can look at bills of lading. You can look at the details of each individual shipment. And there can be accessorials that are chosen. For those of you who actually do LTL, you know who the accessorials are. So this gives a full reporting on everything that happened with the LTL shipment. It also provides, because we rate compared, it also provides a history of what carrier it could have shipped by. And so we've got a reports button here. And if we clicked on reports and chose a report, I'm not going to go through the whole process. I'm just going to show you the results of one of the reports. This is a report that shows which carrier it went by, and I'm comparing this to Roadrunner. And so this is the difference in freight charges. I'm comparing it to the lowest carrier. And this is the difference between, right here, what the lowest carrier cost was and the carrier it went by. In some cases, there's a good reason why it chose a different carrier. It might get there faster. There might be potential damage with the carrier it could have gone by when it goes to certain places. But this will give you the ability to look at, through history, all the shipments that your shipping department sent out and chose which carrier they went by, with the ability to understand whether you have actually shipped by the lowest cost carrier, and if you haven't, you can investigate why. And this is, we're calling an exception report. You also have the ability to just do a rate quote right from here for all your carriers. And what this is doing is this is communicating to your carrier servers. So effectively, we're taking your account credentials and storing them in one management place, and then providing a real-time interface between you and your carrier. So if you got new LTL rates from Yellow Freight this morning, they're going to be on your servers, on the carrier servers, excuse me, and the next time you perform a Yellow transaction, it will actually read the updated rates. For those of you who are doing LTL, you'll know that the rates change quite a bit, and if you try and download the rates to your computer, it's quite an undertaking. And to actually rate one shipment across multiple carriers, you might have to go to each carrier's website. In this case, it's an automated way to communicate directly with your carriers. And when you're performing the shipping transaction, like we did earlier, you can actually even send the message for the carrier to send a truck out, all in one transaction. So that's ShipLink for LTL. Whoops. So that's the demonstration. And now it's back to you, Bruce.
Okay, thank you very much, Glenn. Excellent stuff, especially that LTL. We have a lot of people interested in that. So let me go ahead and call up all the questions that you guys have. Looks like we have quite a few questions for Glenn, so that's always a good sign. So first of all, we have a question as to whether you support Indicia.
We actually have written an Indicia interface many times, and so we work with Indicia. We also have the ShipLink integration to Syspro. We've been waiting for the first Syspro customer who wanted us to do ShipLink for Indicia, and the first customer who does, we can get that knocked out very quickly because we've worked with Indicia for years, and we can provide that as just another carrier. We just wanted to wait to marry our Indicia integration and our Syspro integration until the first Syspro customer wanted that, so that we can actually understand fully all the needs of a Syspro Indicia user. So the answer is we don't have one out there today, but we're very much interested in putting one out there and working with the first customer and not having any custom programming charges. It would just be just like getting the UPS or the FedEx module.
Okay. I think you addressed this already, but we have a question, does ShipLink integrate with USPS carrier software?
Well, Indicia is considered USPS, and so that's the USPS carrier software that we would be integrating to. USPS itself, we're not working directly with the Postal Service. We find that Indicia provides the best USPS carrier software out there. And so when we do the USPS one, we're anticipating working with the Indicia interface.
Can you configure a markup to the determined freight charges? Is it possible to apply retail freight rates versus the shipper's customers' negotiated freight rates?
Yes. I didn't show it in the demo there, but there's a configuration prompt that asks, do you want us to pass back the published carrier rates or your discounted rates to the invoice, along with the ability to mark up those rates conditionally. So as I showed you in the demo, there's a $10 handling charge we had set up in there. We can also do a conditional markup based upon circumstances within the order, and we also can pass the negotiated rates, the published rates back that we can, in this case, call retail rates. If you wanted to have a formula for what you're calling retail rates instead of the published rates, then we can talk about that individually.
Okay. Is it possible to apply an estimated freight charge at time of order entry when using UPS?
We are aware of some tools that will allow you to do that, but ShipLink itself does not provide that. So once again, that would be for a separate conversation. There are some issues relating to order entry and weights and how you pack your items to actually do an efficient, what we call order entry rating function. And so the answer is no for ShipLink, but yes, we have ideas for customers who could potentially need that, and we can discuss that with the customers individually.
And I imagine, if they want further information on this, they can contact you at your email address or phone number on the screen, correct?
Correct. And we've pretty much seen every circumstance out there, and we work with backwards compatibility with previous versions of Syspro to versions from years and years ago, and we also are forwards compatible, and so anybody who is upgrading to the most recent version of Syspro and future versions, ShipLink always works with those.
Okay. So when you tried to process a second shipment against order number 8, it displayed a warning message saying it had already been shipped. Question here is, how does it know it was shipped already, as opposed to, say, a valid shipment against the same order?
Well, usually what will occur in following standard processing logic is, if you're shipping twice against an order, the likelihood is that you've invoiced the first go round of that order, and then you're shipping the partial, and you won't ship the back order until you've done a back order release and you've now printed it in the warehouse. So we're going completely by the order status. If you are potentially shipping twice while against an order while it's still open, then we would want to discuss why you're doing that and ways to configure the software to work with you. But under standard functionality, with delivery notes, as we were demonstrating, the order's in a status 4, and then when you ship it, we move it to a status 8, and that's considered shipped. And then the only thing left to do is to invoice it, which brings it to a status 9. So the reason you would ship twice against an order is usually because it's a partial and a back order release. So once again, we would want to have a separate conversation if your processing is following a different logic.
Okay, we've got about 6 minutes left in the hour, and we'll try to get through as many of these as we can, and then follow up with if there are certain questions that were not addressed, we'll follow up with an email from Glenn on that. But we can, and as it appears we have several more. If you want to stay on a little bit longer, we can try to answer them during the next.
I'll try and be briefer in my answers also.
Okay. In regards to freight configuration, if, as a general rule, backorder shipments do not incur freight charges, is there a way to configure this, or is this a condition that needs to be manually addressed somehow?
We have a configuration prompt in the setup that asks specifically if you want to charge freight on backorder releases. And so if you have that box checked, then all backorder releases get free freight. So the first go-round, the shipment will get charged freight, and then every subsequent shipment against that order after the fact would get a 0 freight charge.
Okay. I noticed on the international sample there was a tariff code lookup. Sometimes the customer master has not been updated with the tariff code. Can the user look up the tariff code, and will it write back into Syspro?
The WorldShip will give them the ability to manually enter the tariff code in UPS, and the same thing with the FedEx software. I'd have to check on the UPS and the FedEx functionality from a standpoint of whether it provides you a tariff code lookup and what that functionality entails. But the write back of a tariff code to Syspro is not set up with ShipLink, and I don't anticipate that changing because of the fact that that could lead to a bunch of potential other issues that would potentially be bad. So that's something that I don't anticipate us adding to the software at any point.
Okay, do these 4 orders ship different items? You only entered 1 package.
On the multi-order shipment, is that the question?
I'm guessing, yeah, it doesn't have any further
In
questions.
the case of the multi-order shipment, it was multiple orders, and I shipped them all in 1 package. As we showed, they could have shipped in multiple packages, and then every order in the shipment would have shown all the packages on all the orders. If the question is referring to the fact that figuring out what items are in what box, ShipLink does not provide the ability to identify which items from which orders are in individual boxes. That would actually require the Syspro shipping module that allows you to actually pack boxes individually.
Okay. Can we quote freight without processing a shipment as well?
The answer to that is yes, but but it does not write it back to Syspro as part of the quote. So you could type an order number in and hit enter and then see a freight charge on the UPS or the FedEx software and then report to somebody this is a freight charge, but we are not writing to Syspro for the freight quote itself.
Does ShipLink need a separate server?
No, ShipLink actually needs to exist wherever the carrier software is loaded. We communicate to the Syspro server directly from the individual PCs where ShipLink is loaded. So there is no extra server maintenance. If you've got UPS on 2 different computers, then ShipLink will be on those 2 computers, both communicating back to the Syspro server.
Okay, one more question here, and then we'll have to do a wrap-up, and we'll send out as I said, we'll have a link to the recording, and we'll send out the answers to the remaining questions then, too. Are you going to include DHL anytime soon?
We have done DHL interfaces. Ever since DHL stopped doing domestic U.S. shipping, we've seen very little demand for it. If you have a great deal of DHL, meaning you have a lot of international shipping going on, then obviously we would want to look at that. So we have, just like the Indicia, we have written DHL interfaces before, and we obviously have the ShipLink integration to Syspro. So we would love to do a ShipLink for DHL, but we've seen very little demand for it out there. But if a customer does want that, we're definitely willing to do so. And once again, not charge any custom programming. It would just be the same as ordering a UPS or a FedEx module.
Okay, we'll have to wrap up now as it is 0:00. So just wanted to say thank you very much to Glenn for an excellent presentation. We will follow up with a link to the recording and the presentation. Also, I will say that Agile Networks will be at our Syspro user conference in early April. So you probably have been receiving emails about that. So hopefully we can see you down in Nashville. Look forward to that. They will have ShipLink will have a booth, so be sure to stop by that. And our next webinar is on March 14th, and it's going to be for those of you involved in budgeting, especially a new focus on rolling forecasts. We have Budget Maestro from Centage presenting their integration into Syspro on March 14th. So thank you again, the audience, for attending, and thank you to Glenn, and look forward to seeing you at the next conference. Have a nice day.